Alright. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. I am the DM of the Shattered Kingdoms campaigns, which we are filming and putting on YouTube. Today, I am joined by Lance, who is here to talk about their character, Xander, today. Is there anything you want to say real quick, Lance?
Hey everybody! If you remember me, I am the player who plays Tabby the Second, Tabaxian Ranger.
Yep, you
Say,
play. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, you do play Tabby in our current campaign, so you may recognize him from that. We will be doing a video on Tabby at some point here, but today we are going to be doing a video on your previous character, Xander, who is very important in his own right here.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before we dive into questions here?
You see, this is water and blue running around with it. Do you know what I'm holding in my hand?
No.
Egg skin. Ooh.
Sorry about that. That was my mother.
That's no problem at all. But is any last comments here before we start with the questions?
Nothing much, really. Just go on with the questions.
Alright, so in that case, could you tell everyone a little bit about Xander's backstory?
Well, Xander was actually born in a small village called, just a small little village in the south of the Shattered Kingdoms called Origin Root. I know it sounds It sounds redundant, but again, but this it just came to mind. Just it's the village that came to mind. Nothing more.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was at first like he was raised by his mother, Elizabeth Orion, and the rest of the villagers. No father at all. He was a curious child who was who knew compassion and was brave against injustice for those who would harm his loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
He was taught, he was easily taught about the world and yada 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 about the traveler and all. And an old guardsman is showing him the way, the sword and the shield, which would come in handy later in life.
Mm-hmm. And since this is very relevant to your backstory, could you explain the Traveler a bit before you continue on with your backstory?
Okay, so if you remember, the traveler is the basically god that was created by Nick for the world of the Shattered Kingdoms. It's basically like the prevalent god, the prevalent
Yes.
god of the pantheon of the Shattered Kingdoms.
Yes, he was basically like the head god for quite some time. He was kind of the main god of the Empire when it controlled the entirety of the continent. It is based loosely off the actual Traveler in the kind of like official D&D lore, where the Traveler did still kind of create changelings and all that, but in this world, his main contribution to the world was forming the Empire, kind of being its main god, and making sure that for thousands of years, or at least hundreds of years, that the continent knew relative peace and stability, and relatively speaking, equality for all races. Relatively. And so that we kind of addressed the Traveler bit, continue on with your backstory here.
Okay, so things began to truly change for Xander at the age of 10 when a man came into the village with no clear purpose. With no clear purpose at all.
Yeah.
Several
Some.
days has passed. Several days have passed when this man arrived. Then, suddenly, a powerful earthquake suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It caused the majority of the buildings in the village to be torn down, including the village's mayor, so to
Yeah,
speak,
the mayor's
a house,
house.
the mayor's house. And but when the quake subsided, everybody miraculously was unharmed. But at that until it seemed that the mayor's own daughter, Amelia, was gravely wounded by the earthquake and seemed to be and was with severe wounds and close to dying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Amelia has been friends with Xander for since they were only wee babies, since they both learned from the same scholar. He just in just something just happened that he couldn't just believe it, but then a voice came out to him saying, "Heal her." And he walked up to his childhood friend. And then
He healed
golden
her.
yeah, basically healed her with a golden light. It was a to the village, it was a miracle. A miracle, and Xander at the age of 10 became the hero of the village.
Mm-hmm.
After all that, the Xander saw the strange man, and he said, "May my guidance bless my kin. May my guidance bless you, my kin." And he disappeared. It was soon explained. His mother soon later explained that on how he could easily heal Amelia, and who was his father is. He was an Aestimor of the Traveler. The man who he saw was his very father, the Traveler himself.
Yep. So Xander is the son of one of the more important gods in the story. So he's definitely a very important character. Is there anything else you'd like to say about his backstory?
Just that for 7 years has been training his newfound powers and continued the way of the sword and shield so he could become a paladin under Traveler's guidance.
Hmm.
At the age of 22, then he let at, he began his task that was given to all paladins and clerics of the Traveler to
To try and locate the traveler.
oh wait, when this test ends, I mean, he'll be given the mission
Yeah.
that all paladins and clerics are given to find the Traveler and to unite the Shattered Kingdoms. That's this backstory of Xander Orion.
Yep. And Xander was very successful in both of those things. I mean, he did help reunify the Shattered Kingdoms. And he did get to meet his dad, the Traveler, which.
Even though that, when he did meet his father, he discovered that father was kind of an asshole.
Yes, I was about to say, the father was definitely an asshole. But here's a question. Was he worse than Dongle?
Oh no, Dongle was worse.
Okay. I love how That seems to be the recurring theme of all these videos is everyone hates Dongle, and then um, the audience has no idea who that is. For the information of the audience, that's the grandfather of Dongle the Third, who features in our current campaign. Is uh, just kind of starting becoming a bit more important NPC for the plot. So watch our videos. You can kind of get to see a little bit, although Dongle the Third is a very different person than his grandfather. So
Oh, you.
don't get
That
your
is
hopes up.
that is so true.
Yes, because
Dongle was basically a power hungry man that
hmm
nobody really liked.
yeah, he was a very power hungry man who really had no right to be like that, cruel or power hungry or just like that much of an asshole. Like the traveler, he kind of had the excuse of power going to his head and like being a god, but Dongle definitely did not have anything that would justify that. But now that I've gone on a bit of a tangent there, is there any last comments you want to make about Xander's backstory?
On his backstory, no.
Okay. So I'll move on to the next question then, which is what is your character's class?
My pick Xander was a paladin of the oath of devotion, really.
Yep, an Oath of Devotion Paladin, with the oath being sworn to the Traveler, and your oath basically being what you said already to find the Traveler and reunite the Shattered Kingdoms, if I'm not
Exactly.
mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so then that pretty much takes care of that here. So, Lance, why did you choose Xander for your character for this first campaign that we did that unfortunately we didn't record?
Well, truth be told, Xander was actually my first ever character of that I ever created in D&D. In fact, the first Shattered Kingdom campaign was my first ever
hmm
D&D playing truly real D&D.
Yeah, I think
And
there's a few people that was their first time for that. It was my first time DMing as well, the first session that we did. Like officially DMing for a group. So,
and the reason and to continue on, it's like honestly a lot of you guys possibly for your real D&D chosen to play at like to play an Asamon. Come on, it's like literally an
hmm
angel, uh, half human, half angel, or half god. Who wouldn't want to play a half god? And the reason why I chosen up the paladin class because one is possibly one of the easier classes from what I've heard to play with,
yeah,
able to cast magic, heal, and fight
yeah, it
and
is
defend.
probably one of the easier classes. Um,
Just to
I feel like
begin
some
from.
people might make an argument for like barbarian or fighter, but those classes don't really have access to magic, so
Yeah,
they're the easiest ones, but they don't have access to all the fun tools like magic.
yeah. That's basically why I chosen paladin so I can
Yeah.
magic to begin so I can finally begin to cast magic and to fight.
Mhm. And I know I'll probably get people angry at me for saying this, but I can say from personal experience that if you were to go to like one of those martial classes like fighter or barbarian, especially with barbarian, when you get to the later levels, you will be useless compared to the rest of the party. Because in terms of damage output, spells do a lot more than the weapons in the game do. But that's kind of a tangent there. So we should probably just move on to the next question here, and that is, what is one defining trait about Xander?
Well, like I said in the backstory, Xander is known to be was a still is a compassionate fellow who would protect his friends and loved ones from any harm. That is why in this campaign he is called Aegis, because
Yeah,
if I'm it's
you basically became a god at the end of our last campaign. You basically took the position over from the Traveler. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
yeah, uh, to be to be a protector, to be a protector of the Shattered Kingdoms.
Yeah, and I believe
Kingdoms.
Tin made you swear to take care of changelings too, right? Because
Yeah, I think
technically that was the Traveler's responsibility, which
and I
he
think
didn't really take care of.
yeah, and also it's an easy promise for Xander to make. Really, he
Yeah,
just he's just basically good, like
he's a good
good-hearted.
person and trying to protect everything. Well, he's trying to protect the good in the world and the people he cares about. That's the
Yeah,
main thing.
yeah.
Alright, so then, um, I think I
Do we
might
really have to?
already. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do we really have to really say this really? Because I think we already mentioned it's Dongle,
Yeah, I was about to say, um,
and
I
maybe
think I already
actually
know
Wolf,
the answer. So
and maybe
Dongle
Wolf
is your
actually.
least favorite. Okay, wait, so Dongle and who?
Wolf.
Both. I like how Dongle is on that same level as like the one of the major antagonists.
Maybe like Dongle's a short bit. Like Xander really not does not like that guy, but
Yeah,
Loth is a very personal enemy of his.
yeah.
And there's
I like how that's pretty much became like the go-to answer to I think just about every single person that I've asked that question so far is that their least favorite NPC is Dongle.
there. I added Loth here
Yeah, you did
too.
add Loth. Um, as I've heard that answer a bit more, people have added additions, but so far I think everyone has said Dongle. Alright, so then which NPC is Xander the most fond of?
Amelia. His
Amelia?
basic,
Yeah, because
his
it's
basic
his wife.
wife. Yeah.
And doesn't he have kids at this point, or did they have kids?
Yes, they had kids.
Okay. So yeah, so Amelia is his wife and the mother of his children. And the children would probably be ASMR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, your Xander's wife is the NPC he's the most fond of, which is good. And what would you say is the most important thing that Xander has done so far?
Completing his goals of uniting the Shattered Kingdoms once again.
Yep, uniting the Shattered Kingdoms. Because, I mean, he did kind of fulfill his oath, uniting the Shattered Kingdoms, finding the Traveler. Probably uniting the Shattered Kingdoms is probably the bigger deal. Because, I mean, it went from about, like, probably like 20 different kingdoms to 4. So it's not like one unified kingdom, but it's still a massive improvement. And 3 of those kingdoms were ruled by your friends, or well, are currently being ruled by your friends or their descendants. So yeah, you did a pretty good job of unifying the Shattered Kingdoms, I'd say. And let me see here. If your character had to fight any of your other characters and or player characters, which one would it be and why?
Okay, that is actually kind of hard.
Yeah, because Xander
It's
wouldn't really want to fight any of the player characters, I
no, but
imagine.
maybe like for maybe some like light training to, and so he doesn't really get far behind in his.
Okay. I think
But
I know where
if
you're
it's like,
going with this.
but if it's like a serious fight,
Okay.
then maybe a Zul. Just saying,
Yeah. Okay.
and
So God
maybe
on God fight. Interesting.
it's because of well, Azul basically kind of well, you. It's not because of really of what Azul, because of having Azul having some crazy followers.
Okay. Yeah, because it was crazy followers who are basically responsible for the death of Tin and several, like thousands of others.
Yeah, but
Minors. Well, spoilers for the our campaign there.
yeah, no, it's possibly well, but it's like maybe just like an argument, really.
Yeah.
Besides, besides, and I kind of see that Xander would possibly have some crazy followers in himself.
Yeah.
It's like maybe a few. Just saying, maybe a few consider him as the traveler who has
Yeah.
forgotten himself and forgotten himself, and they're trying their best to reawaken the traveler once again
Mhm.
when he's actually dead.
Yeah.
Is that possible or no?
Oh, what to bring the traveler back when he's dead?
No, I meant
Oh.
no, more like crazy followers thinking
Oh.
Xander is the
Oh, like
traveler.
crazy followers thinking he's the traveler or trying to kill Xander to bring back the traveler.
Yep,
That kind of thing.
yep,
Uh I don't know if there'd be too many people who would do
yeah,
that. They'd definitely be like on the fringe of society. I think more
yeah.
of a
That's
popular kind of like crazy follower of Xander might be someone who is very adamant that all of the kingdoms in the Shattered Kingdoms need to be unified. And then maybe there's some followers of his that think that the Shattered Kingdoms will only truly be safe and be able to be protected once it's under a single banner. So they might that might be a crazy group of
yeah,
followers that has just given me some ideas for future sessions that
yeah,
might cause issues for people.
yep. So basically, my earlier argument of Azul versus Xander is pretty much avoided because
Mhm.
Xander possibly would understand what Azul is going through a tiny bit.
Mhm. Yeah, so Xander would kind of understand what it's like to have some crazy followers. Although I don't think any of his followers would have done anything as crazy as what Zul's followers have done.
Yeah. Anyway, next
Yep.
question.
Next question. What is slash was Xander's motivation to join the party?
Okay. Well, his motivation was still to
Fulfill his
uh, to,
oath.
to fulfill his oath, really. And when he heard basically what what um, Tyrion was going to do, he stood by them to stop the
Yeah,
new
to
coming
stop.
darkness.
Yeah, to stop your like half brother from destroying the world and killing everyone you love. That kind of thing.
Yep.
And what was I gonna say? Yeah, and you also, at the very like start, you were also working with Ignis, who was trying to reclaim his kingdom. So you could argue that that might have been part of
Another
you trying
motivation.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, trying to reunite the Shattered Kingdoms by making sure that the proper ruler of Nolave is in charge. So I guess,
Yep. That
yeah,
too.
that too. And then, so now that we've got the motivation out of the way here, is there anything you would have liked Xander to have done before we ended the last campaign? Since we did kind of end that rather quickly. I think the ending was maybe just a bit rushed.
Maybe a little bit, but can't really think of anything
Yeah.
because honestly, another thing that I should mention about Xander is that he actually didn't want to be a god. Really, just he wants to.
Xander, I hate to break it to you, but I think all three of the characters who have become gods have not wanted to be gods. Like, Zool
Oh yeah.
was raised by dwarves and raised to hate goblins. He is now a god who probably 90 to 95% of his followers are goblins. Tin is now a god, and she's never really liked gods before, since the Traveler kind of neglected his duties in protecting changelings, and she kind of blames him somewhat for the life that she led. So she didn't really
I
want to
know.
be a god either. And so yeah, you're in the I'm a god, but I don't want to be club. So far, only Xylon has managed to avoid godhood, and
And Ignis,
Ignis. Yeah, but he is
a dragon, full on
he's a
dragon. Possibly,
dragon, and when he dies as a dragon, he's gonna end up a dragon in Bahamut's court. So he's pretty damn close.
yeah.
So yeah, it's Xylon is really the only one who was given the chance to just live a normal-ish mortal life. The rest of the party is doomed to immortality, is one way of
Yep.
looking at it. So there's really nothing that Xander would have liked to have done before ending the last campaign.
Maybe try to save Nicus.
I mean, there isn't really too much that you really could have done to save Nicus.
But yeah, I know. But other than that, nothing much.
Because, I mean, Nicus's predicament was kind of set up to be somewhat of a come back next time for next campaign and resolve this unresolved plot point. Hopefully.
I get
Maybe.
it.
But yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so that one's for just the new characters. That one's for the new characters. Okay. I think I know what the answer to this one is. So I'm gonna phrase the question this way. If Xander could kill one NPC without consequence, why is it Dongle? Which I mean, if it's not Dongle, let me know. But I figure that's pretty much who everyone has answered so far.
Okay, honestly, but this actually surprised you. Xander would not want to kill Dongle.
Okay, that does surprise me. So then,
Yeah,
who is the
honestly,
NPC he'd want to kill without consequence? Then
I don't know. Actually, Xander really doesn't have a big hate bone like the others does. Though he would possibly strip Dongle of his status, but he would definitely strip Dongle of his, if he was alive, strip Dongle of his castus, put him on a boat with very few, with
very
enough
few supplies.
food and food to last him a couple of months, send him up and banish him from the Shattered Kingdoms for good, with little, with nothing, including
Yeah,
his name.
yeah, that's a bit harsh. I mean, not as harsh as I guess actually killing him, which I mean, Tin beat everyone
Okay, maybe
on that.
let him keep his name, but
Yeah,
he'll be blacklisted from the
yeah,
Shattered Kingdom.
ever coming back to the Shattered Kingdoms. Although that might that might cause some issues with how the timeline is going to be playing out.
I know,
in the
but
screen campaign. Yeah, I
that's
know.
what was Xander would have done
That's
if he
what
had the
Xander would have
choice.
done. Yeah.
He
Alright.
doesn't really. He just dislikes them, but
So
to
then,
kill him,
is there anyone that
yeah,
Xander would kill?
would Loth count?
Yes, Lilith could count because I think that's what Ignis said.
Okay, Loth. I would possibly kill Loth, like to actually free Nickus from to
Yeah.
both finally
And to
stop.
be clear, do you mean both versions of Loth?
Oh no,
Or
just
the
the
good
evil,
or the bad version of Loth?
the bad version.
Ah. Yeah, I just want to make that clear. Because I do think I've said this in a few videos now, but in the Shattered Kingdoms, there are two different versions of Loth. The good one, which came as a result of the party kind of purifying some fragments of Lilith, kind of making her a like decent god, and which has led to Drow kind of reintegrating into society at large. Then the fragments that are still out there, which there are at least three, those form the bad Lilith that wants to kill everybody, and specifically the old party for uh, like purifying some of the fragments and standing against her when she tried to take over Tyrion and conquer the world. So, yeah.
Or at least banish from Loth, the bad one, from the Shadow Kingdoms for good.
Yeah, I like how Xander's like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to kill anyone, but let's banish them, and
But
like
if
in
you,
one case might condemn them to a slow death by starvation, and in the other case,
I said gave
ban.
him the food for
Yeah, you'd give him food for
the,
a month, but what happened? Like that's assuming there's anywhere that would take him in for him to survive.
I
Like
wouldn't,
if no one allows him to land, eventually he would run out of
but
food.
like
Yeah.
I don't, he'll go to another continent, wouldn't he?
He would go to another continent, or at least try to, assuming he knows how to pilot a ship, which he might not. Is
Okay, but he will possibly at least strip him of his title.
yeah.
I don't know, but okay, this is a quick question for
Yep.
you. Actually, I'm not sure if I should ask this because of the
Yeah,
video.
because if it's something you want to ask me after the video, you can ask me.
Yeah,
There
let's
will
do after the
be
video.
yeah, because there is a later question where you can ask me any question that I'll try my best to answer truthfully. Let's move on to the next question here, since Xander is kind of boring and doesn't want to kill anyone. So if Xander was told there was 1 month until the world ended, how would Xander react?
He would actually try to stop it, even when if it all seems hopeless. He would
Yep.
try to stop it, even
And
giving his life.
that was basically Ignis's answer as well. It was try and stop it and save whatever he can. So I think Ignis and Xander are very much of a mind in that case. And so then the next question here, if Xander could go anywhere in the world of the Shattered Kingdoms for vacation, where would it be? And it
Maybe,
can be places that no longer exist, because I know Ignis did say Dew's Hell pre-sinking. So if that's a
yeah,
possibility,
maybe do as hell,
yeah, beat
or
all the Tabaxi. Or what were you gonna say there?
yeah, do as hell. I would say do as hell.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because that's probably the like friendliest place in the Shattered Kingdoms to be. It's a shame that that island no longer exists, but it was destroyed for story reasons and to help motivate the party to kill Tyrion. So it has that going for it. All right, so if Xander could have one question answered truthfully by the all-powerful creator of the universe, what would it be?
So I'm not sure because Xander is a god. So
Yes, but assume that there is a power above him. What question would he ask that higher power about the world that Xander doesn't know?
About the
Because just because he's a god doesn't necessarily mean he knows everything.
yeah.
Especially since there's so many gods in the world of D&D, all doing their own thing.
Okay. Um. Really not. Really not sure. Maybe something to. Maybe it's a question to finally just destroy Khan. To finally
Destroy the
destroy.
Great Khan.
I know that,
A wish spell
but
will do. That's a truthful answer. A wish spell will do. Although you'll have to live with the consequences. So that's my answer to how you could go about getting rid of the Khan. A wish spell, but you'll have to live with the consequences. So just think about that one.
but no, I don't think. Honestly, again, he,
Yeah.
Zenner's pretty much content, and he's trusting basically
Mm-hmm.
the new heroes to stopping Khan.
Okay. So I guess
But
I guess to be fair, you didn't really ask that question outright. So I guess I'll let you ask another question here if you do have another question you want to ask here.
we really don't know of what I really don't know what to to ask. Really, it's kind of hard. Like
Mm. Well,
like
what questions linger in Xander's mind at night? What keeps him up?
is there a way to save to separate Nickus from Loth?
There is now, as of this moment in time, there is. Whether or not that will change in the future is unknown, but for now, Nickus can be saved. And while they may not realize it, the actions of the party and the other great heroes will highly influence whether or not Nickus can be saved.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's
be
the
careful.
question that you would definitely be asking.
So be careful. So I guess with the answer to those questions, it's basically be careful and be careful what you wish for. Is the gist of those answers.
Okay.
And okay, so the what would you like to do before you die? That doesn't really apply to you because you're a god. And I'll ask you this next question here. What is Xander's thoughts on the situation in Brule, where it's in civil war? Warlords have kind of taken over. Some of the former kingdoms that Brule had conquered have declared independence, have risen up, are murdering people who don't belong in that kingdom, and it's generally just a big mess. And there's only a few people in the
Xan-
White Flower trying to put it all together.
Xander feels extremely sorry about that whole entire mess, and he's trying to save as many survivors as possible. But again, he's getting weaker by the week, by the day. He soon will become a, to
Okay, yeah,
become
that's right, because he isn't technically a god yet. He's still about to become a god. Isn't that
and
right?
what's yeah, and he's until yeah, and right now he's just conserving much strength until the time is
Hmm.
needed to
And
truly.
when the time comes, if Xander has to make a choice, which side would he choose? Barul or the kingdoms that are trying to break off from it? Bear in mind that siding with Barul would help keep the Shattered Kingdoms unified. The but the siding with the people wanting independence would make sure everyone's happy. And on the other hand, siding with Brule would probably make a lot of people dead and very unhappy. So, like, which side would he choose in that situation? And knowing
Honestly,
that a divided Brule might be bad with some of the coming threats to the Shattered Kingdoms.
honestly, since if the if it was such a dire situation with the Khan, you would try to bring much peace to try to bring peace. But right now, Khan is coming, and they need to be all united.
Yep.
So
So
united to access.
he might side with the Berulians, trying to reunite everything just to kind of provide a united front, at least in terms of
Exactly.
that kingdom.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, you guys have run into the forces of the Khan a little bit. Um, in the last session, which, due to technical errors, we weren't able to put up, but you did run into an agent of the Khan, and you don't really know how high up he is in the hierarchy of the Khan's forces. So, as far as the party is concerned, there might be hundreds or like hundreds of thousands of people just like him ready to invade, which
Yeah.
is a scary thought. But yeah,
Yeah.
in that and on that note, what is Xander's greatest fear?
Dusk.
Dusk.
Yes. He's
I like how that's also one of the things that came up last episode, like a lot that unfortunately people can't get to see. But do you mind explaining Dusk a little bit
thinking.
to everyone?
Okay, so basically, Dusk is kind of like a book that is basically cursed that it is so horrible that you literally take damage from it.
Yeah, you
Honestly,
take
I
psychic
think you
damage from reading this book.
I think you the dust came from the book what was it again?
I believe it was based off of Twilight.
Yeah.
Is the
No offense
inspiration
to
for
any
it?
Twilight.
Yeah, no offense to any Twilight fans. It's just it's meant as a joke. Like,
Yeah.
please don't be offended. It was just a joke that kind of spiraled out of control since there is now literally a side quest dedicated to trying to just wipe it from existence. So, yeah, just relax. It's a joke. We
Yeah.
all think it's funny, and it's not a joke I plan on getting rid of anytime soon.
Anyway,
Unless.
the reason for his fear is because when the party was at the Dwarven Kingdoms,
Hmm.
Xander actually picked up the actually started because he was wondering what book. It's just a
Yeah.
book, and he actually read it, and he kind of like and he took damage, and he kind of like literally yeeted the book from taking that damage.
Yeah, and then it appeared right back at his side later, didn't it? As it comes back. You can't get rid of Dusk. You try to destroy it, it'll come back. And there might be more than one.
And that's why Xander basically fears it so much that he actually well force he actually erases the literally locks the memory of reading that book, so he doesn't have to go through that again.
Hmm.
So he doesn't have to suffer again.
Yeah.
But
I
when
just
he's
thought of an idea involving Dusk, which is might be borderline stupid, but I think it's kind of funny. Do you remember like last session where I said if you like destroy the book by burning, it'll result in there being two copies returning to you, or something to that effect? Where like trying to destroy it with fire will result in there being more books overall. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was thinking, what if there's somewhere in the world where someone, someplace, is using those books for fuel, for like a furnace or some sort of factory, blacksmith, something to that effect. And it's just been inadvertently making like hundreds of copies of this thing and dooming the world to suffer from that, just so they can get a free source of fuel. I don't know. It was funnier in my head, but
It was kind of funny. I get the joke.
yeah, I feel like that definitely has to be something that Seabreeze would have to be there to see, and just to see his reaction would probably be priceless.
Yeah.
Because he'd definitely be the one to be like, why? Why are you doing this? And then I'll just be like, someone like, it's free. And, I mean, do you realize how much money I saved by doing this? But yeah, that was just my random idea that came to my head here. Is there anything else that you want to say about Xander?
No, that's basically all.
Alright, well then I think this is probably one of the shorter character videos here because we're just over 45 minutes. So if you have nothing else to say, I'll end the recording here and try and get this video up as soon as possible.
Just this. See everybody in the next session.
Yep, see everyone next session, and hopefully there'll be a recap video on what happened last session so everyone is caught up. Because there is no way for me to recover the volume from the session we did, which kind of sucks. But yeah, see everyone next session. Bye.